Hi ladies, do you ever feel like two versions of you are tugging at your sleeves? One of them is saying go for it, the other one is hitting the brakes. Today you will see the exact parts integration process I use with myself and my clients to settle this argument in under 15 minutes. So grab a quiet spot and follow along. You are going to get calm, clarity, and a free workbook with this video. A quick story though. When I first decided to start this business, Enliven You, I had one part of me that was saying, let's go for it. And I had another part that was very concerned about failing and looking silly. And the result of this conflict was a lot of procrastination. But once I integrated both of these parts, the hesitation disappeared and I hit publish on my very first offer. Just some handy things to think about. Apparently, we are only born with two innate fears, and those are loud noises and the fear of falling. So everything else is learned. And when you feel resistance, whether it comes through self-sabotaging behaviors or a feeling, a tightening in your chest, or negative self-talk, just remember that every behavior has a positive intention. And lastly, often our lower level values will conflict with our higher level values. For example, one part of us might really be valuing comfort, security, and safety, while another part might be really valuing growth, success, and contribution, and these parts will be clashing. But the technique that you're about to learn helps each part realize that they are both actually heading towards the same higher goal. And also, just before we get into it, I want to go through common mistakes that can be made with this process. So one is rushing to get to the higher intentions and stopping at things that we think are intention or value, such as money or time. The higher intentions or values are things like love, connection, and peace. These are things that money and time eventually give us or allow us to feel or have in our lives. The next mistake is merging too soon. So this is a merging process, bringing our hands together. If we do it too soon or we force it and we're still feeling that resistance, we might need to take a few steps backwards and continue to go through those higher intentions until these parts naturally merge together. The next mistake is focusing too much on what the part doesn't want. It's really easy to say, I don't want to feel embarrassed. And that's okay. We just want to then follow that up with another question. Well, what if I don't want embarrassment, what do I want? And then you might find yourself saying, I want peace. The next one is stopping at comfort. Just seeking safety can sometimes block long-term fulfillment. With this, we just want to acknowledge the fear, consult it, acknowledge it, but guide it towards a higher vision. So how do we do this process? This is a hands process. There are a few different options of how to do this, and one of them is called a squash, where we bring our hands together. You can also bring your fingers together, but a common one is bringing these hands together. So tucking your elbows in, letting your hands be out to the sides so that they're free to move around. And what you're going to do first is just ask yourself, what is the conflict that I'm feeling inside? So where is the resistance? A question you can ask is, ask yourself, what is that thing that you want in the future? And notice that there's resistance, if there's resistance to this thing. So that is the internal conflict. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to get the part that's resisting out on one hand and the part that's not resisting, the part of you that wants that thing, out on the other hand. So pause the video whenever you need to so you can get clear on these things. But once you've gotten clear on the conflict, the resistance, what I'll ask you to do next is to have that part of you that is exhibiting the negative or unresourceful behavior on one hand. Whichever hand that your mind goes to first, just bring it out on that hand. And what you're going to do is then ask yourself, how do I represent this part on my hand? What do I see? What do I hear? And what do I feel? So maybe close your eyes and just say to yourself, what does this part look like? Does it have an image to go with it? A color? It might be a person. And then once you've got clear on that, does this part have a sound to it? What does it sound like? Is it got a particular tone to it, a volume, someone's voice? And then you're going to ask yourself, what does this part feel like? Is it heavy? Does it vibrate? Does it have temperature? What does this part feel like? Once you've elicited or got clear on how will you represent this part in your mind, we're going to go over to the other hand with the part that is the resourceful part, the part that wants something and wants to go get it or have it or feel it, and do the same on this hand. What does this part look like, sound like, and feel like? Once you're clear on those parts, you've still got your hands out, you're holding them there with the parts on both hands. We're then going to go to the first hand, the unresourceful hand, the hand that's in conflict, and start chunking up, it's called. We're finding the higher intention of this part. So first, asking yourself, what is important to me about that, and what does that do for me? Those are the two questions you'll continue to ask yourself. So you might start off with, I don't want to feel embarrassed. And then you'll say, well, what does not feeling embarrassed do for me? Or what is important to me about not feeling embarrassed? Keep asking those questions. You'll have to pause the video until you find those higher intentions of love. It's going to be for you, but it might be something like love, connection, peace, freedom, etc. Once you've done that hand, do the same on the other hand, and notice eventually how these hands start to actually float towards each other. So do this process, pause the video. Once you've noticed that your hands are coming together, then just notice that they can actually connect with each other. And when they do connect with each other, bringing your hands into your heart and feeling that those parts are integrating back into your wholeness. What was once one whole became separated. We're returning them back together so that they can take action towards that higher vision and higher values and higher goals. And now what I'll get you to do is future pace. So imagine yourself being a week out into the future and notice what you are doing differently. How are you behaving? How are you feeling? Potentially in the context of the goal, the thing that you initially said that you wanted. What outcomes are you seeing now? So I know that was probably a bit hard, pausing the video and playing the video. So now that you've listened, maybe you could go back and do the process again. Of course, this is a hands process, so it's a bit hard to be taking your hand to the screen and back, but there's a free worksheet PDF linked into the description as well. So that goes through the process and you can read it and do it as well. So something that's really handy to remember is that resistance is not the enemy. Resistance is actually protecting us from a perceived pain. And when we partner up with that resistance, we are able to unlock growth that's outside of our comfort zone. So if this video clicked, then download the free parts integration worksheet linked in the description below and go through the process with yourself as many times as you can. We have so many things that we feel resistance towards in our lives, and keep it handy for whenever doubt pops back up. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you would like to get more tips and techniques on how to reset your nervous system and reprogram your subconscious mind. Thanks for listening.